Erik, what's the fine line like between a player who wants to play because he's committed to playing and maybe, I don't want to say hide an injury, but trying to play through it versus you finding out and like take the rest? Like, what's that yin yang with Terry been like through this?
It flared up last night. He's been dealing with it, for some time, but, after the game and on the flight, it didn't really clear up this morning. But this should be a good week, for him to be able to get treatment, get that right, and keep moving forward. Hopefully it's not a long-term thing.
What does it say about Pat that a few weeks ago it's a court dedicated to him, and then today it's announced that the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, this is just incredible, and none of us, heard anything about it. So I'm guessing he probably heard about it, before, but rightly so. Those Showtime Lakers are iconic, and he kind of I don't know, how do I say it, like the image of a professional basketball coach, he just totally changed it, in the 80s, and then made it something that people thought was like, hey, that'd be really cool to be able to do something like that. But he's I think it's a saying that he used to say, that you don't want to be just the best at what you do, you want to be the only one that does what you do, and that's Pat to a T. But I'm really glad to hear that the Lakers are doing this. It's going to be a pretty special moment.
Kind of along the theme of balancing things, it's only been 12 games and you haven't been complete yet, really, and you won't be complete again tonight. But where is the balance of the urgency of you want to get this thing going and you want to start stockpiling some wins versus the realization that you aren't complete yet and there are going to be challenges?
No, there's urgency there, for sure. And if you look at it in both conferences, there's urgency throughout, the conferences, and I think there's parity. It brings out great competition. It brings out all these different emotions. You win a game, you feel like everything is great. Then you lose a game, you feel like the world's coming down. That's what competition does, particularly when you're jostling so competitively in the standings where there's a lot of teams bunched up. A couple wins, can change, the feeling of things. But the urgency is definitely there. Some of the habits that we're building, we feel like are trending in a solid direction. But yes, we would like to turn these habits into wins.
Coach, obviously Caleb is coming back tonight. I guess, what were your kind of biggest memories of Caleb and just kind of what he brings to the table and stuff?
I love Caleb, and I'll always root for him. I really respect him, and I love him for who he is, how he represents himself, who he is as a competitor, how he is off the court, all those kind of qualities. He really draws you in. And his story is just, so unlikely. But we pride ourselves in the unlikely. Some of my favorite memories obviously would be the Eastern Conference Finals against, Boston. They played him that way the year before with their centers, and I think he just put a massive sized rock in his shoe for an entire year, like thinking about that, just praying that he would get another opportunity to play against them. But he's a competitor through and through, all the way into his soul. And you want to go to battle with those kind of guys. So obviously you root for him. Like, he knows what I'm about. I know what he's about. Like, all that gets thrown out the window, tonight. But, outside of that, that's a relationship that'll transcend just, these teams. It'll transcend, the careers, all of those things. We'll be sharing a cold one, years from now.
Coach, the team's been out-rebounded for about the last 7 games, and you've been close, of course, and notched out a couple of wins. I'm just wondering what is key about turning that around so that way, as you mentioned, you turn some of those extra possessions into more wins.
Yeah, just, the cliche, you got to do it one game at a time. You can't stack up a bunch of wins tonight. You can stack up one win. And when you're dealing with a small margin for error throughout this conference, it's about sustaining whatever your game is. Who can sustain longer and more consistently? And you watch games, you throw them on. There's just these swings back and forth. I mean, you get the sense that as long as the teams are playing for playoff spots, that any team can win on any given night in either conference. It's great for the league, great for the fans. You love it for the competition part of it. And what you want is that it brings out the best in your team.